Hi everybody, so this video I'm going to be talking about how Atomfall is similar to Stalker. Now the idea of this isn't to say one is better than the other, because obviously they are very, very different games, but really if you're interested and you've enjoyed the Stalker games, whether it be the OG ones or Stalker 2 or any of the mods, you know, I'm just trying to say you may well be interested in what Atomfall has to offer. And actually if you've played Atomfall and you're like, I really enjoyed that, well definitely you'll want to think about playing Stalker. Now, the footage you see from Atomfall, you might wonder when I do these comparisons as well, it's always tends to be the same footage. That's because I don't want to give anything away. One of the really brilliant things about Atomfall is the discovery in the game and the massive differences between the areas. I'm not going to say any more because when you play the game you'll find out. Now obviously when we look at Stalker, which is a post-apocalyptic game set around Chernobyl, it's very different to Atomfall, which is set in the north of England, but they're both sort of set around nuclear accidents, and the scale of Atomfall is much smaller than Stalker. I finished Atomfall in just over 20 hours. People do it much quicker, you could take longer, but Stalker is a lot longer game than that to play. However, what Atomfall is, I think, it's like a Stalker light, you almost want to call it. Everything is much more compact and dense. For example, it doesn't need fast travel, because although it does have these large areas, and it is an open world game, once you know your way around them, you can traverse them very quickly. So you don't find yourself thinking, oh, I wish I could fast travel. You know, you can move around. And in these open areas, like in Stalker, you have different factions who are wandering around, who are going to get in your way. Unfortunately, at the moment, they don't interfere with each other. Not sure whether they will, like they do in Stalker. There's no A-life. But it does mean that the world does feel kind of alive as you're moving around, which is very, very cool indeed. You could say, well, I think the devs describe Atomfall as action survival because of limited resources and things like that. And I would probably call Stalker a survival shooter. You know, shooting is the main way of combat, and in Stalker, isn't it? And the survival aspect, really, of both games is all about, you know, having a limited inventory, you know, limited ammo. You're always scavenging for things, and inventory management is a really important part of both games. The fact that you can't carry everything, and you have to make a choice about what weapons do I want to carry, what ammo do I have, how fast do I want to move. In Stalker, you don't have that in Atomfall, but you do have the very real choices in Atomfall, which is even more restrictive than Stalker, about what you can carry and how that will affect how you can go through certain areas, you know, whether that be melee, stealth, or going in loud with guns. Both games have weapon upgrades. They've got traders. Both of them have got an inventory box system as well, where you can dump a load of stuff and then access it somewhere else. You know, that magic Resident Evil system that we got from way back. I don't know if it's in Resident Evil 1, but it's definitely in Resident Evil 2, wasn't it? And both games are really about exploration and discovery, and the story is kind of, not everything's as it seems. You know, you can't trust everybody. People have their own agendas that's going on, and this is in the original Stalker games and sort of Stalker 2, and is designed into Atomfall, I believe. You know, there is no right or wrong in these games. You know, there's just a way that you follow. And there's different routes through the games, and both games have got multiple endings as well. But for me, one of the biggest things about both games that makes them so special and similar in their own way is the amazing atmosphere that both games have. You know, this amazing world that's been built by GSE and Rebellion that sucks you in and is very immersive, and just makes them really good games. So, in summary then, if you like Stalker, I think you should definitely try Atomfall and stick with it as well, because you might start playing it and go, what is this? What is this game? Because they're kind of really different to start off with, and then you'll get into it and you go, oh right, okay, limited inventory, limited ammo, got to hit my headshots, I've got to explore all that sort of stuff. And if you've enjoyed Atomfall and got through and thought, this is my cup of tea, this is my piece of cake, I like this sort of game, then you want to check out Stalker. You know, Stalker 2 is obviously the latest one that's just come out, but even the original ones, especially on console where you've got the Legends of the Zone trilogy, which you can pick up cheap, It's definitely worth checking out. Anyway, what do you think though? Put your questions and comments down below, and of course I'll see you again soon.